Hey guys, this is Quentin Figueroa.
And this is Jesse Gonzalez.
And we're going to be starting a series here with Truth Control, where we're actually going to be talking about different kind of spiritual, philosophical type subjects. And both of us ourselves, our whole lives we've been very into that kind of thing. We both love reading tons of books, researching things, thinking about things, meditating on them, and just kind of, trying to gain an understanding of certain topics.
Correct.
So we're both going to be taking certain topics like God, religion, all these different kind of things and kind of sharing
point of views.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes we don't agree on everything, we do agree on a lot of things. We have differences in a lot of things, but we somehow connect in the middle with a lot of the things that we believe in. So we're going to be bringing that to you. Hopefully you guys will get something out of it, or if you don't, you don't. You know, it's just what it is. We just want to express our views, and at no point we want to
force them on you
or offend anybody in any way. I'm sorry. It's religion can be a very, very touchy subject.
We're not here to offend. We're just here to share kind of what we have found.
Our beliefs.
And maybe it fits something with you, maybe it doesn't.
If it rings true to you.
We're not experts. We're just having a conversation with you. So.
Well, I am an expert. I don't know about you.
Okay, Jesse's an expert.
I'm sorry, just joking.
Oh, okay. I'm an expert, but Jesse is still not quite at my level, so.
So But if it rings true to you, hopefully you will share it with others and let them know that, there is another truth out there, not just the truth that you were brought up with. And, you can see different points of view. We all go through things, and we all go through different situations. Mm-hmm. And sometimes this physical form can get kind of like hectic. And we just want to bring our point of view.
That's right.
And interpret it the way that we see life. And hopefully we'll open some hearts and be able to share. So today our topic is going to be God.
God.
And the many names that people refer to God as, or, many names that God goes by. Mm-hmm. And what it means to us in particular. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily the God of the Bible that, that destroyed everyone that didn't listen to him, the scary God. I personally do not believe in the scary God. I'm a big believer in the God within myself, and the God connected to everything else, and the God of love. Whereas Mr. Figueroa has a different point of view. Similar to mine, but kind of different. So, what is your take on God?
Well, I have a similar take on God as you. I see God as kind of a, we're all a part of God. God is kind of a platform or an energy that, is everything, and we're just, parts of that. And, like Jesse said, the God of the Bible, or, of all these other religions, I view most of those as actual, well, it differs, but a lot of those I see as just physical people that were just controlling people of less intelligence at the time. So that's the way I view some of those gods, like Yahweh and things like that, whereas there are a few bits and pieces too in some of the more ancient literature where the gods are, I guess, they are kind of taking a more philosophic approach to God, but they mix it too with physical people too, so it's like, almost like they're kind of confused, or that you get kind of a little bit of both, and it's kind of weird. But overall, God is, God is us, because we're all a creative force, able to do whatever we want to do, and we're.
I kind of agree with you to a certain extent. To me, God being a creator means that you're co-creating with this higher energy, which is the universal mind, which is God, which is anything you might want to call it. A lot of people in Christianity believe that the way to God is through Jesus, so they say that Jesus is God. And in a way, they're right about that, because Jesus, you know, God is within Jesus, and He's within all of us, and it's really, I don't want to make it sound like it's like like He's a human form, because my perspective on it, when I was a kid, I really thought that God was sitting up in the heavens looking down on everything that I did. So my life was kind of like, I lived a very, I was afraid of life, just because I just thought that every time I did something wrong, God was going to punish me. And that was the way that I was brought up. Whereas, like, I know yours was a little bit different.
Yeah, I was brought up kind of similar, though, because I was brought up as a Christian. And, yeah, my parents, they still, for the most part, I believe, they believe that you need to be saved through Jesus. They believe in kind of that type of thing. And I was brought up that way, too. But, I mean, really, the more you study it, the more you look at the Bible and their kind of work that they're basing their beliefs off, you see how there's a whole lot of contradictions, or a whole lot of things that they're kind of looking at in a short-sighted way, I guess. I mean, if you compare other religions and you look kind of deeper what certain words mean, and you kind of, I mean, if you just study things out more, you can see that there's taking
different messages.
Well, I guess you could say they're taking more of a exoteric interpretation, where the more esoteric interpretation is lost for most people, because they don't really search that out. So they're taking kind of the kindergarten version, and it's going to have a whole lot of contradictions and problems, because it's supposed to, because it's not as refined, it's not as kind of you know, it's not closer to the big picture. So
I think, though, our parents in particular, they were taught that, so they keep bringing it down and believing in the same things that their parents taught them. And I think in a way it's kind of a lazy approach to really studying and really believing in other things as far as it goes. Because to me, Jesus, I believe in Jesus. Jesus is a person that I have a lot of respect for when He was here on earth, but I see Him as a messenger. He came here, showed us a way, and not the way that, oh, we have to do everything right, if not we're gonna be sent to hell. I don't believe in hell personally. I think what Jesus was trying to advise us on was the fact that we all have this power within. We're all creators. We're all like God. Yeah. And once you touch that power within yourself, you start creating the miracles for yourself.
There's quotes in the Bible with Jesus saying things like, you can do all the things that I've done and greater, and things of these nature, like you can move mountains, all these, different things, trying to tell people, that they can
He wasn't
do that
this
stuff.
like,
and he's saying, like, I'm not that big of a deal. I mean, I can do this stuff, but you can do everything I'm doing also, but you just choose not to, or you haven't brought yourself to that understanding. So, I mean, we can all be like Jesus. We can all do those kinds of things.
We all are like Jesus. We all are creators of our own lives. And the more, the deeper you get into that, the more you realize that you really have this power within that's godlike. And in the Bible, they always mention the I am, meaning in like a lot of spiritual books that I've read, what they interpret to be the I am part of it, which is mentioned in the Bible a lot, is God, and that we all can be like that. And there's very numerous interpretations regarding that. There's this author called Neville Goddard, and he's very, very, I mean, he talks about the Bible, which is, I had lost all faith in the Bible because I just thought it's a book written by man. But after I read his books, I kind of got the interpretation of the Bible in a different view, not the view that I was brought up with. Because I had read the Bible before, and to me it was just like a boring book. And I thought it was like, how can this God destroy so many people? Like, oh my God, like, but then after you get to know, I guess, the real God, which is the God within yourself, you realize that a lot of that is just, I guess you could say it's a fable. The Bible can be sort of like a fable. I think it was just a lot of stories put together, and and it was changed throughout times. Some king actually took the reincarnation part of the Bible and deleted it. Because of course they wanted to keep you to the point of God being this, God that really would destroy the world if we didn't do what he said we needed to do. But that's my take on God.
Yeah. And what you're saying about the Bible is pretty interesting because, I mean, you can take it so many different ways. You can view it, like you were saying, kind of as a fable or just a story where, maybe a lot of that's made up. You can take it as kind of a history where, that maybe it's partially true history where, there's some of those events happening were true, but they might have been kind of misconstrued or misunderstood or exaggerated or things like that. And then you can also take it kind of as an encoded kind of story where, maybe the people writing it wrote it in a certain way to where those things were only supposed to be known by the people who really could kind of understand the symbols and the, kind of more, just kind of understand it at a deeper level where, if you can kind of see the parallels with, maybe like Egyptian type books, that you could see how it's, they're stories, it's kind of the same story that's always being told, and the Bible is just kind of that same thing, and it's, written a certain way, and you can, I don't know, gather things from it that way. So it's just interesting. I mean, you can kind of use the Bible for, kind of whatever you want. You can use it, it's kind of just so open in a way.
But back to our topic, which is God.
Yeah.
We kind of have swayed a little bit away from that topic and knocked the Bible down. And no offense to anybody if you're watching, really respectfully, I take everything into heart. I take the Bible, any spiritual book, I totally commend it and respect it. My view on God is just very different as far as it goes. I just don't think that God punishes anybody.
The main thing that we both kind of agree on with God is most people's views of God is a kind of a, I guess like a vengeful, kind of like just controlling type God. Like, it's kind of like a parent that's like, you're going to do this, you're going to have to do this, and if you don't do this, there's going to be some type of penalty. But that's really not the way God is. I mean, especially if you...
it might be to some of you if you want to believe that.
If you look into, for instance, near-death experiences, you have cases where people, supposedly die for, a certain amount of time, and then they go on into that spiritual or non-physical.
One book that I highly recommend, Anita Moorjani's Dying to Be Me. Excellent NDE book.
Mm-hmm.
That's like one of the best.
Sure. And so what happens then is these people who are kind of formatted with this Christian software telling them what God is or what God isn't, they now die and go kind of meet God, and then once they're there, it's totally different. It's pure love. It's pure energy. There's nothing judgmental or negative about it. The whole thing is just completely open. It's all based on yourself. You're all a part of it. So
on your spirit, and it's crazy because you lose all interpretation of the physical form, whereas you are at another level because you're connected to everything, and that's, I think, where the oneness comes in, your connection to what they call God. And it's an amazing experience because it's happened to everybody. Like the people, well, not everybody per se, but I'm saying on the near-death experiences, everybody relates kind of like the same message.
Exactly. And the interesting thing too is most Christians for a near-death experience, they see Jesus or whatever kind of interpretation of Jesus they have. That's kind of the reality that they're given. And then same for a Muslim, they'll see Muhammad, and different people see kind of what they're expecting to see, because in this physical world we're creating kind of what we want. So if we have certain influences influencing us with maybe Christianity or something, that's what we're building internally in our own spiritual world. So then when we finally are outside of the physical in that is what we're expecting. That is what we've created. So
you've kind of put it in your unconscious mind, which is what creates. So then when you let go of this physical form, you're actually touching at your unconscious level. And when you touch at that level, it's nothing but spirit and energy, because The physical form doesn't exist at that level, but the near-death experience by Anita Moorjani, you will say it's a little bit different because she didn't touch at that level of seeing anybody.
No, right.
Because she had been brought up with different points of views, and she was just so open that when it happened to her, she just went into total bliss. She was able to reconnect with her dad, and she was able to reconnect with her best friend that had passed before her. And well, Anita Moorjani never passed, but it's a great book because it kind of explains our connection to the oneness and to what we call God. And, you know...
Another interesting thing, too, about God is, in a way, God, it's like a kind of responsibility thing in a way, or like a power thing. For instance, a young kid is in a way less a god than their parent. I mean, they're obviously, you know, everybody's spiritually equal. We're all kind of, but as far as kind of the way what we choose to do with our kind of free will, certain people are more apt to actually want to do something with their life. They're more kind of, they want to create, they want to, like, somebody might want to build a business, or they might want to create music, or do something where it's taking something like an urge inside and creating with it, where some people are less likely. Some people are more, they kind of want to sit back and let others do the decision making for them. So, you know, in a way, we're all to be, if you know, like God, we need to give out. We need to do kind of, or we need to be like a...
It comes down to the fact that, you know, growing up, I was taught that, oh, you know, you give to receive, and I think it's not like you always expected something when you gave something. I was brought up like that, you know. If you give something, you're gonna get something back, and I think it's all about giving. And the more you give, but giving from the heart, from your God self, then you're gonna receive more. And it's like in my meditations when I've like connected, I see one of the big things that I saw, to me, it was like the God interpretation that I got was this energy light, and it was giving me this light. It was just igniting me with this, you know, power, and at the same time, it was like I was giving it away as it came to me. It was just going out to others, and those others were my surroundings, my people around me, my family, my co-workers, my friends, everybody. And I was giving, and I learned that when you receive, you give it away, and the more you give away, I think that's the interpretation that God meant for us to learn from, you know. But you know, going back to your subject about the kid, you know, and the parent and stuff like that.
Yeah. Basically, what I'm saying is, most of us we're gods, but we're kind of growing into it in a way, or our consciousness is kind of, we're trying to figure out kind of what power we really do have. Because most of us still, or I mean, a lot of us, yeah, I guess kind of asleep in the sense that we have kind of, let's say maybe governments kind of taking care of us. We have, you know, maybe certain employers or certain, you know, organizations kind of taking care of us, but we're capable of being whatever they are to us, but we choose not to. We just kind of live with them kind of providing for us rather than us providing for ourselves. We're kind of learning that self-responsibility stage, and that's kind of us kind of waking up to our God power, that kind of thing. So, you know, that's kind of the point I'm trying to make.
And going back to that, I guess a perfect example would be like, when you go to work for someone or the company that you're working, we complain about our bosses, we complain about our company, yet, you know, we're at that stage because we choose to be there, you know, and rather than be appreciative of what we have and be thankful for what we have, we usually end up complaining. Rather than becoming the bosses, we let our bosses be our bosses and bosses around, basically.
Yeah, and I mean,
so you lose your control.
Yeah, they're essentially the God, and then we're kind of more
like the, you know, inhabitants of their world.
And there's nothing keeping us from being a boss, but we choose not to. We don't want to put in the work or the effort or the learning or whatever. Just we're maybe fearful to do that.
Just as like people don't want to research. Yeah, just like as in people they'd rather just stick to the Bible rather than research other things and really get to know like what God is and what, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, because my interpretation of God now is just like so different than what it used to be when I was younger. I mean, I've taken like a complete different point of view. I've actually, you know, I don't like to argue with people, or maybe I do sometimes, but I've argued that point with certain people about how I just, you know, the Bible is just like a book to me. It's no longer a thing that I'm scared of, because I used to not even want to put anything on top of the Bible, because I thought, oh my God, I put something on top of the Bible, God is going to just throw something at me and kill me right there and then. But, you know, getting back to God, I see him as an energy. I see him as a universal mind. I see him as a connection to everyone. And I think it starts at the basis of one of the things that I think you need to do is start with love. And love creates everything and starts I guess, your journey to a better you, to a better understanding. Because with hatred in our hearts, we really can never get anywhere. Because there's no way energy can come to you, because you're kind of blocking yourself when you're angry, and you stop the energy from coming to you. And again,
yeah, we kind of create what we want. So if we're angry, fearful, something like that, that's what we're giving out, and that's kind of what we're
gonna get
looking for. Whereas if we're kind of more positive, or we're more, let's say, we're just more creative, we're more happy about what we're doing, we're more kind of into life, we're going to be attracting that to us. We're kind of, you know, it's all flowing through us.
It's like, it's basically a simple way to say it is a law of attraction. I think it's overused, and I think a lot of people kind of have a misunderstanding of what the law of attraction is. But in simple terms, it's like what you give out, you're going to get back. And I don't like to dwell on karma, because I really do not believe in karma. I think that it's all lessons in life. And I don't think that when you come back to your life, you come here to pay your karmic debts. I think that when you come and grow on love more. So let's say you and somebody in another past life, and this probably would be another topic that we should touch on next time. Or
sure.
This time we'll stick to God.
Right.
But one thing we gotta make clear, though, in my way of believing, is that it's an open door, and it's 24/7 in this world, in this physical world that we go by time. I guess you could say you're never disconnected from God, from the universal mind, from energy.
And I guess
the help is always there.
Another thing to add to, which is kind of interesting, is this physical body, in a way, kind of disconnects us from God.
Limits us.
For instance, I'm sure people have heard of fasting and things like that, where the idea is if you kind of put less into the physical and you don't eat or something like that, it kind of opens you more now to the spiritual. You're more connected.
To the
spiritual. You're less kind of tied down from the physical. And I know I've done like a 3-day fast myself with only water and that kind of thing, and it really is kind of eye-opening in the way that you see how we really are really connected. I mean, things can happen, and the way we don't need to think so much about what we're doing, because everything is laid out like very kind of sequential and smart, and it's all kind of fits together, but we're so kind of tied down here
because we want to control.
And
we want to control everything around us. But like you're saying, in your fasting, your story is amazing, and I guess that could be a topic for another show.
Right, but it's just to show that how
spiritually,
how connected we are to God, and how, I mean, we can do, really, we are like God. We can do what we want. We know things that we don't think we know. So it's just, I mean, but we're so kind of tied into this physical world that physical
body kind of wants to control your life, because it's an egotistical state.
Right, and not to say that the physical world is bad by any means. It's just, you know, to recognize each thing for what it is, and to recognize the physical, I guess, limitations or things. But
and we are limited, because this is just a navigational tool that we're using, passing through this place called Earth. And what's interesting, though, it's like, it limits us. And I just had an aha moment with you, because you've told me your fasting story several times, but I had an aha moment because you kind of said about how when you're fasting and you start not eating and you said you start connecting more to the spiritual. I had gotten it before, but not like this way. I got it in like I really got it this time, like what you meant, and I was like, wow, that was like an aha moment for me. So that's pretty cool. So
yeah, I mean that should give kind of a pretty good understanding. I mean, we could talk a lot more about God though. I mean,
and but we want to bring different topics to you.
Yeah.
And hopefully, some of you will listen and share our stories, and